Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Means we're brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. And lots to get to here. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Jordan Kitchens back there on the ones and twos. Our normal Tuesday staples are lined up for today. Glenn West to go 24/7 with us talking all things Tigers at 1:30. And Sharif Ishaq talking all things Saints as free agency is running rampant in the NFL, as well as a little bit of Pels with Sharif going on today. Got a little mock draft I want to get into with the New Orleans Saints as well. We'll do some of that. LSU and South Dakota State will play this evening at Alex Box Stadium. There's currently a big one going on at Tiger Park right now as the LSU Tigers softball team leads number 3 Texas 7-4. Tigers the only undefeated team in Division I softball, and they are trying to put the clamps on this one in the 7th inning and defeat Texas in a pretty full Tiger Park here on a Tuesday. So a really cool deal for Beth Serena and her team as they continue to play great softball early in the season. I wanted to start today with a spot that I really had no anticipation of starting on. You know, I have said many times on this show that I never get tired of talking about certain things. One of those things is the 2019 LSU Tiger football team. I never get tired of talking about them. I never get tired of talking about reliving the games, the wins, the moments, the ride, the coaches, the players. Like, I never get tired of talking about that team. It was such a special run of 6 months or so that anytime that somebody wants to revisit, I am more than happy to do so. And I think when we talk about that team, we talk about a lot of the individual players on offense. Burrow comes up first, of course. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase come up right thereafter, of course. And all three of those guys have made such a huge mark at the NFL level. You certainly talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and what he did that year and the performance he had at Alabama. You talk about him going in the first round of the draft. Terrace Marshall was leading the country in touchdown catches until he got hurt midway through that season as the third receiver. Thad Moss comes up, sure. And you flip to the defense. There were some stars on that defense. Grant Delpitz carved out a really nice pro career, was a Thorpe winner. Derek Stingley, first-round pick, stud in the NFL, was a great player that year as a freshman. Caleb Von Chason was a first-round pick. Look at what Patrick Queen's done in the NFL. Like, this is kind of the order that I think that we talk about that 2019 team. You go to Burrow and Chase and Marshall and Clyde. You go to Terrace Marshall. You look at Stingley and Fulton on the other side and Delpit. Like, that's kind of the order that we talk about these guys. And when you're looking at historical perspective with that team, which we do because they put themselves in that conversation, you start to weigh college accomplishments of other teams, and you start to weigh professional accomplishments of other teams. The 2019 LSU Tigers are going to have a real uphill battle in their hands over the next decade, trying to match what the 2001 Miami Hurricanes did in the NFL. That's just the reality of it. But all of that being said, everything I just encapsulated, from the moments to the play, there's one group that I just don't think ever really gets the flowers they deserve, and I will put my hand right up in the air to tell you that I don't know if I dumped cold water. I might have put a cold towel on the offensive line from that team winning the Joe Moore Award. When they won that award, I said, I don't think any of these guys are going to go in the first 20 picks of the draft. And, Joe kind of had the answers to the test, and he was getting the ball out really quickly, and his pocket presence was the best I've ever seen, and Clyde made a ton of guys miss, and yeah, they probably were pretty. I don't know. Like, I said that. I very much said that. And I thought it was a reasonable take, and maybe it is. Here 5 years later and look at the National Football League and go, you know, they were pretty good. And yesterday, to the tune of $100 million, suggests that, yeah, they were pretty good. I mean, you look across that front. Sadiq Charles was the starting left tackle. He became that as a freshman at LSU. He started 28 games in 3 years at LSU. He was a fourth-round draft pick, and he just finished his fourth year in Washington. Now he's a free agent, and the feeling around the league is he will have a landing spot 5 years in to an NFL career. That's a pretty good run. At left guard, you had a rotation between Adrian McGee and Ed Ingram. Now, McGee got signed by the Saints and never made it in the NFL. But Ed Ingram, who started 2 games that year and then would go on to start a couple more years at LSU, is halfway through a 4-year contract worth $6 million with Minnesota and has carved his way into the starting lineup for the Vikings. Lloyd Cushenberry was the center, last man in his signing class. Was there even room at the end for Lloyd Cushenberry to play at LSU? Well, there was. And yesterday, the Titans signed him to a 4-year, $50 million deal, 26 of it guaranteed, and an $18 million signing bonus. All of those numbers are record-setting for centers in the NFL. Now, that doesn't mean that Lloyd Cushenberry is the best center in the history of the NFL. It just means that he signed the highest dollar contract for a center in NFL history. Thank you to the $30 million salary cap bump. But that's awesome for Lloyd. Not a guy who got in and tried to find his way and was up and down from the practice squad. No. He became a starter for Denver, and another team saw that and valued him at the highest valuation ever for a center in the NFL. That's fantastic. And right next to Lloyd Cushenberry on that team was Damian Lewis. Now, Damian Lewis was a first-team All-American by The Athletic at LSU. He did go in the 3rd round to Seattle. And yesterday, 4 years, $53 million, 26.2 guaranteed with the Panthers. Incredible for Damian Lewis. And I would suggest, even though he was an All-American by The Athletic, he just signed a 4-year deal with the Panthers for $26.2 million, guaranteed, that if I told you to start naming guys from the 2019 LSU team, it would take you a while to get to Damian Lewis. Right? And that's really the point of this segment. Austin Deculus was the right tackle on that team. All he did was play in more games than anybody to ever wear the uniform. Went in the 6th round to Houston, made the practice squad, and is now with the New York Jets. Still around. These guys aren't household names like Burrow and Jefferson and Chase and Stingley and Delpit and Queen. Clyde. They're not. And I diminished wrongly their impact on that team just based on context clues and watching the game. I thought, you know what? A lot of guys could get up there and block for Burrow because the ball's out so quickly. And even if it wasn't, he had that unbelievable ability to manipulate the pocket and make things happen down the field. But the proof's in the pudding here. These are not guys, Sadiq Charles, Adrian McGee, Ed Ingram, Lloyd Cushenberry, Damian Lewis, Austin Deculus. None of these guys were in Trevor Penning's boat, where a franchise thought enough of them to put a first-round pick on them and then do everything you could do to keep them around. You know how quickly you can get away from Lloyd Cushenberry, a 3rd-round pick? How quickly you can decide to move on from Damian Lewis, a 3rd-round pick? You don't need to keep Ed Ingram around. But not only are they keeping these guys around, these guys are signing huge deals with new teams that are seeing the value that they've got. And so, again, as I try, hard as I might, to push the narrative that LSU's 2019 team was the best in the history of college football, this is helping. because everybody knows what Burrow and Chase and Jefferson are. Everybody's aware of Stingley and Delpit. Kayvon Chaison's a first-round pick. Nobody needs help remembering him. Patrick Queen's a star in the NFL. But I can add this, like, hey, by the way, a lot of folks want to pay these offensive linemen too. Hat tip to them. And again, I'm never going to get tired of talking about it. I don't know if they're going to have as many Hall of Famers, maybe not as many Pro Bowls as the 01 Canes, but they continue to make a lot of money and do a lot of great things in the NFL now that their time at LSU is long since past. We're in 2024 now. It's almost 5 years ago they kickstarted this thing. So I just wanted to throw some bouquets at Lloyd Cushenberry and Damon Lewis for those huge deals. We'll see where Sadiq Charles can land. We'll see if Austin Deculus can keep himself around. And then Ed Ingram, obviously, is halfway into a nice contract there in Minnesota, and you would think there's another one on the horizon for him. Very, very cool for the Joe Mord Award winners from 2019 who continue to do great things in the NFL and rep that 2019 squad on Sundays in the league. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Pluckers Wing Bar, Nicholson, just south of campus, Bluebonnet in front of the Mall, Louisiana. I will be at Pluckers tonight for sports trivia. Come on by. We'll be watching some LSU baseball. We'll be winning some gift cards, so it ought to be a fun time. We'll switch gears and go to the New Orleans Saints. When we come back, got a mock draft that has 7 rounds for just the Saints. And I'm less concerned about the actual players and more concerned about positions of need and where the Saints need to go. We'll talk about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about Boudreaux's Electric. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux have been running Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years. They're a certified Generac dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. You think about the benefits of a generator because it gives you the peace of mind that you know, hey, I don't have to worry about the power going out. Whether I work at home, whether I'm riding out a storm, whether it's just one of those summer showers and I want to be sure that I can watch the game that I want to watch. They can help you with that. But the other downside potentially can be that they can be kind of bulky and not the best looking thing around your home. Not with the folks at Boudreaux's Electric. They're going to send a full-time employee out to install that Generac generator. They're going to do most of the installation underground so that not only is it a functional unit, but it's aesthetically pleasing outside the house. A lot of us take pride in the way that our house looks from the outside. Boudreaux's Electric knows that, and they'll take care of you with that generator installation. Check them out in Napoleonville or also in Gonzales. That's my friends at Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bighorn trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camp.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Baseball at the box. Shay Dixon recapping a busy recruiting weekend and the latest in NFL free agency. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
As I just started the show there with that intro about the big new deals for Lloyd Cushenberry and Damian Lewis, some more news just coming across the wire from Adam Schefter. Patrick Queen has inked a big 3-year deal worth $41 million with the Pittsburgh Steelers, going to the hated rival of his former Baltimore Ravens. I know that the Bengals kind of poached a safety from the Ravens yesterday, and now Patrick Queen going to play for Pittsburgh. So a couple key starters from that Ravens defense that was so good last year headed to division rivals. So more cash for the 2019 Tigers coming in as of today. I did want to talk about the New Orleans Saints here in this segment. Jeremy Trottier covers the Saints for Saints Wire and among some other things, and he has a mock draft up. And again, I'm not as 100% dialed in on who team analysts are mock drafting to the Saints in the 6th round. There's so many variables there that that's not necessarily exactly the point. But I do think that going through this exercise does help in showing how you can reshape your roster pretty quickly if you hit on that draft, right? And so it's more so about positions and needs that the Saints can fill coming up. We know that in this land rush of free agency, where everybody's signing monster deals left and right, that the Saints aren't heavily involved. Because generally speaking, at this point in the calendar, there's just not a ton of wiggle room with the Saints' salary cap. Now, they get under it, and they figure it out. And last year, they were able to sign a couple of defensive linemen and a big-time deal for a quarterback. And so I'm not suggesting the Saints have pinned themselves into a hole where they can't add to their roster at all. What I am suggesting is they're not generally huge players in the free agent market. They find some guys here or there, and unfortunately, a lot of those guys have not hit. But the Saints' time in adding players comes a little bit later than the rush of money that's right at the start. But in the draft, everybody gets their shot. So here's a look at this mock draft that Jeremy Trottier did. And it starts with round 1 and pick 14, where the Saints stand pat and take Olu Fashanu. The Saints, this is a very obvious statement, but I will make it because of the course of this segment. The Saints have to get an impact starter with the 14th pick. It is a must. You cannot draft another Trevor Penning. You cannot draft another Marcus Davenport. You cannot draft another Peyton Turner. You cannot do that. They must hit on this first-round pick, and Olu Fashanu makes a ton of sense. He starts on the offensive line likely from day one. Okay, I'm in at that spot. Offensive line, first round, I'm in. In round 2, he's got them taking Braylon Trice, the defensive end from Washington. Now, the Saints obviously have got to find a way to put more pressure on the quarterback. You've still got Cam Jordan under contract. His days of being a massively impactful pass rusher are over. I do not expect an 11-sack year from Cam Jordan. Could he have 4 or 5? Sure. Could he have 2 again? Yeah. Could he get 14? No. They've got to find one here. Trice had 80 pressures and 8 sacks this year. He only had 3 penalties, which I thought was an interesting statistic. He's not got great size and length. He's 6'3" and 245 pounds. But he's a productive edge rusher at the college level. We'll see what Isaiah Foskey is. I don't know. We feel good about Carl Granderson, but I'm okay. Again, Braden Trice, take it or leave it. But defensive end in round 2, I'm there. If you through 45 picks have gotten a pass rusher that you can at least use on third downs and a starting offensive lineman, that is a massive win in this Saints draft. And that would be great. Now, in this mock scenario, the Saints move into the 3rd round, trade up with Tennessee, and he's got them taking Jacob Cowing, a wide receiver from Arizona. Now, we feel like wide receiver is a place that the Saints need to address now that Michael Thomas will not be with the Saints and they'll move on from his contract. What is A.T. Perry? I don't know. We pretty much know what Olave and Shaheed are. Olave is a complete package, quality, top-end receiver. Good. Shaheed, big plays, game-changing plays, been dependable now for 2 years. I'm good with that too. What is A.T. Perry? I'm not 100% sure. They need to know. And then adding to that room, I think would be really good. Now, Jacob Cowing, I can't claim to have every single answer on. We're talking about guys who are 3rd or 4th round picks here. But he's got good speed. 4.38 in the 40-yard dash, 1.54 second 10-yard split. Maybe that's another guy that can be a game changer. I don't hate the order we've gone in here, which is offensive tackle, pass rusher, wide receiver depth. Now you start to get into guys in the 5th, 6th, 7th round that, well, you hope. I'm not mandating the Saints find a starter in the 5th round. I would love it, clearly, but you do have to find somebody that can make the team and help. The Saints need these young, cheap players. I complained yesterday and the day before about adding years on to Tyrann Mathieu and DeMario Davis's deals because they're going to be really old and fairly expensive. That's all relative, but that's what I feel. Give me some cheap young guys. In the 5th round, they've got A.J. Barner, tight end from Michigan. 6'6", really good blocker. Okay, you've got Juwan Johnson, who you feel pretty good about. Jimmy Graham's done. And then Foster Moreau. But, okay, 6'6", pass-catching tight end that's a really good blocker. It's a different skill set from Juwan Johnson. I don't hate that. Again, you get to the point with the Saints here where you realize there are so many needs across the board that it'd be tough to really screw it up positionally. In round 5, again, with pick 174, the Saints Wire Mock has the Saints making a very interesting selection. And it became more interesting today with the news that Jameis Winston has signed with Cleveland. Jordan Travis is the pick here. And I'll be completely honest, I don't hate the pick. I don't love it, but I say that I don't hate it because I really don't know what Jake Haener is. If they think in that locker room that Jake Haener has probably hit his ceiling, which was like a couple of good days at the beginning of camp, and that he's probably not the answer, I'm not here to suggest Jordan Travis isn't. And let's be real honest about the Saints offensive line. It's gotten some quarterbacks hurt over the last 3 years. Okay? So, again, while there are very few teams in the NFL that can truly survive the loss of a starting quarterback, it's very rare. You do need somebody that can step in there and help you for 3 weeks. I'm not here to tell you Jordan Travis can't do that, and it's not in the 2nd round, it's in the 5th. That's where I'm trying to get guys that can help. Jordan Travis played a ton of college football, won a lot of games, has some athleticism. And I think the fact that he's got some athleticism and is a little bit undersized, that would have been so frowned upon like 7 years ago. And now, that's kind of okay for a backup quarterback. I see a lot of Josh Dobbs in Jordan Travis. And Josh Dobbs would be a very good backup quarterback. Now, he's been asked to start a couple places, which he's not. But Josh Dobbs played a ton of college football, is a pretty good athlete, doesn't have a rocket for an arm, and he's carved out a nice spot in the NFL. I don't despise the Jordan Travis pick. And then, if you're really lucky, you found maybe a guy that can be your quarterback. Maybe you found Dak Prescott, who also played a lot of college football, won a lot, and is a good athlete. Maybe you found Brock Purdy. I don't dislike that pick of Jordan Travis in round 5. And then you've got a pick of round 6, which you'll all be very familiar with here, and that's Jordan Jefferson from LSU in the 6th round. Jefferson's undersized, and I don't know that he necessarily meets some of the athletic score metrics that the Saints love with some of these picks that they've made, but I'd also suggest that a lot of those guys haven't panned out to be great players. I like the fact they're trying to add to the defensive front. The guys that they signed in free agency last year were okay. And at this point, I don't. Jordan Jefferson had some flashes at LSU, so I don't think that's awful. So in this mock, which included a couple of trades, they've got the Saints taking Olu Fashanu in round 1, starting offensive tackle hopeful. Braylon Trice in round 2, edge rusher, third down edge player. I like it. Jacob Cowing, deep threat wide receiver in round 4. A.J. Barner, a blocking tight end in round 5. Jordan Travis, potential backup quarterback in round 5. And then in round 6, Jordan Jefferson. So tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and D-line. That's about where we sit here. I don't think they're drafting on the interior of the offensive line, although they have a lot. I don't think they're going to... They probably will draft a safety, I would suggest. So that's probably the miss here. I don't know that they'll draft corner because they're deep there, especially with Lattimore still on the roster. And they drafted running back last year, and I don't think they'll go there again. This kind of makes practical sense. Now, over the course of a draft, there's always somebody, whether it's the 1st round or the 5th round, who falls that your team really, really likes, and maybe that trumps a need, but you feel like the value's so good, you gotta jump on it. And that will likely happen at some point. But this roadmap does make a lot of sense. And I know listening to Matt's show last week on Friday, he suggested that Olu Fashanu was his number 1 wish at 14 for the Saints. That's where he lands in this mock draft. If you want to catch all of our Saints content, you can catch it at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. This segment will be posted up there pretty quickly after the show is over. We'll go through a lot of mock drafts over the next couple of months, and we'll see if the Saints can be a little bit more active in free agency. We'll also talk with Sharif Ishak coming up in an hour about what he thinks about the New Orleans Saints and some of these selections that we've laid out here today. When we come back, Glenn West of Go 24/7 talking all things Tigers on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I think when we think remodeling of a bathroom or closet, a lot of times we think brand new and modern and clean and shiny, and all that's great. You can do it. What about safety? Safety is something that's got to be very, very important in the bathroom, especially for the aging loved ones in our life. What about a non-slip floor that you could put in? What about handrails near the tub and shower areas, toilet areas? What about a walk-in tub that makes things easier for the aging loved one in your life? What about a bench in the shower that things can be a little bit more safe there where there's some danger involved, slippery surfaces? David Vaughn and his team handle this kind of stuff all the time. If you'd like to look into some safer bathroom options for you or the aging loved one in your life, One Bath and Closets is happy to help you with that. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Check out the free consultation. It's right there on the top right. You can also see testimonials from their satisfied clients as well as pictures. Head to the website. It's onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The
The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
IU Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bitcoin trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
On Tuesday's OTB, what does LSU baseball need to do in their final tune-up for SEC play? Plus, the latest from LSU Tiger Spring football and talking around Saints with Nick Underhill. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Really nice win for Beth Torina's Tiger softball team. Matinee action at Tiger Park today. They take down number 3 Texas. I think it was 2 versus 3, and Oklahoma lost. So LSU remains the only unbeaten in college softball, and a great midweek win for the Tigers, who went up to Lexington and got a sweep over the weekend. You can hear Coach Torina on with the morning show every single week on Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. This is the time of the week we head out to Jim's Firearms Hotline. We chat with our guy Glenn West, senior writer at Go 24/7. Glenn's with us now. Glenn, how are you?
Hey, Hunt, I'm doing great. A lot of top 3 programs right now in the spring for LSU sports. So seems to be a pretty good couple months here coming up for the Tigers.
No doubt about it. Let's start with baseball. We'll get into basketball, which will set up to the SEC tournament coming up later this week. But as far as baseball goes, they dropped a game on Sunday. The offense was a little hit or miss this weekend. What's your overall evaluation of the offense for this team right now?
Yeah, I think consistency is the word that we've heard from Jay Johnson a couple of times, and I think there's a lot to that. I think this team has a lot of potential that's still been untapped this year. I think they have some good power that maybe we haven't seen as consistently. I think that you've seen them get out of their approach a couple of times throughout the course of this year. And I think that's to be expected when you have so many new, fresh faces into the lineup. I think you'd certainly like to see Tommy White get going a little bit more here, kind of be the stabilizer of this offense. But it's been a little bit of a struggle for Tommy this season, at least trying to get off just trying to get out of whatever funk he might be in. But I think that look, we're sitting here and we're talking about an offense that didn't really have a good Friday, Sunday showing. I thought that they were pretty good on Saturday for the most part, and you're looking at this team and you're thinking, man, there's just so much untapped potential here, and they still are sitting at 14-2 going into their first week of SEC play. They're the number 2 team in the country, and have a pitching staff that I think is absolutely postseason made of, stuff made of, and can help you make a really deep run here. So, there's a lot of positives to take away, but certainly Jay Johnson and this offense want to get going a little bit more consistently.
Do you think they're any closer on settling on 9 guys that are going to play more often than not, or do you think this is going to be fluid kind of the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, I asked him that, pretty much after the I believe it was the series in Houston. I think that they're very much okay with kind of going with a rotation of guys. I don't think they've settled in on 9 yet. I think that there's still 13, as many as 13, 14 guys they're really going to be considering in terms of just rotating in and out. Certainly you look at the outfield and all the guys they've been rotating in and out there. But I think, look, Tommy White's going to play. That's what Jay Johnson has said over and over again. But outside of that, I think that they are content with going forward this year of just kind of taking this game to game. I'm really excited to see what maybe a guy like Brady Neal can do in SEC play. He's somebody that I think has a ton of untapped potential and has started to put it together a little bit, I think, consistently. So he's somebody I'm going to be watching over the next several weeks. But certainly, I think you'd like to see Tommy kind of get going a little bit more. Travinsky, I think, has got to be a stabilizer, and hopefully you can get something out of Jared Jones and some of these other guys.
Assuming Cade Anderson starts today, what do you think that we'll see from him over the next 7 days?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him again this weekend if they can kind of manage that. But I think this week might be a little bit tricky just because they do have a 2 midweek game schedule here. They might want to get the most out of Anderson tonight so they can save some of these bullets for the weekend and for tomorrow's game. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Anderson goes a little bit deeper in this game to try to get you through most of it, and that would obviously leave the door open for next week, but maybe not towards the latter end of this weekend. I would love to see him though in SEC play, and when you talk about the gauntlet of the schedule they're going to be having here coming up over the first 5 weeks, I think you need to have kind of an all hands on deck approach from the pitching staff side of things. And if they can limit Anderson maybe a little bit next week in the midweek game, I think that could certainly open up the opportunity for him to pitch in the weekend series. But I would love to see him get some opportunities against some of these big high hitting SEC offenses.
Well, let's switch gears over to basketball. What did you make of Saturday's game?
Yeah, so I walked down with about a minute 20 left. I was thinking, all right, this is a 17, 18-point game, and they're just going to kind of let the clock run down here. And then there's just a barrage of fouls that are happening, and I ended up just kind of chilling at one of the seats, a couple rows back from Matt McMahon and the offense and the LSU bench. And 25 minutes later, this game still wasn't over. I mean, I think I tweeted it out, but it was probably rivaling for the longest final minute of a blowout game in probably LSU history or PMAC history. I mean, it was crazy how quickly that thing kind of got out of control and got a lot closer than I'm sure LSU would have liked. But you get out of there with a win. It was a very strong second half, I think, for 17 minutes of it, 15, 17 minutes of it. And, I think that they finished the conference play 5-2. They had a lot of momentum going down the stretch here. And I think this team's playing its best ball, here going into the SEC tournament. So that's a good thing.
So as far as the matchup of Mississippi State goes, we watched that one in the PMAC about 3 weeks ago, and it did not go very well for the homestanding Tigers. What needs to change this time around?
Yeah, I think just being more physical with them. I think coming off those two high-intensity wins over Kentucky and South Carolina, that was a team that was pretty drained, I think, emotionally and physically after those two games. And didn't help, obviously, that Tyrell Ward went out in the first half and kind of really hampered the offense. The offense really just never got going. I think they had 4 assists in that game. And it's going to be hard to beat any team when you only have 4 assists and there's just not much ball movement going on. But they also gave up 16 offensive rebounds that led to 27 second chance points in that game as well. So it just tells you a little bit of the physicality they're going to have to match up with. Tolu Smith obviously had a really big game. Hubbard really got going against them in that game as well. So certainly some things I think you can learn from that performance here and kind of maybe work to improve in this SEC tournament neutral site.
I've kind of been on this kick over the last 3 weeks that the team's kind of performing as Trey Hannibal performs, which I never thought I would be saying at this point in the calendar. So, I mean, is there some truth to that, and how did it get to this, if so?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the Mississippi State game, Hannibal had 2 assists and 7 turnovers in that game, and he was somebody that, I think he scored some in that performance, but the thing that makes Trey Hannibal has made him so good this year is that he's always played with a kind of chaotic energy, relentless energy and effort that has sometimes been to his detriment. But this year he's really kind of flipped that, and he's using the chaos to his advantage, and he's making some really great decisions. I think Matt McMahon told us in the press conference after Saturday's game that he has something like a 3 or 4 to 1 assist to turnover ratio in conference play. He's just been much more under control this season, and I think that's led to him being able to continue to make those plays that kind of can help change the energy of a game or of a half, and also kind of keep LSU from being bogged down by some mistakes of their own when they also cough it up and are getting out in transition. So I think the fact that he's playing fast and he's getting guys open looks. He's such a great downhill driver, too. He really gets into the paint and is able to kick it out to his shooters like Tyrell and Jordan Wright, Mike Williams. I mean, that's what's really, I think, helped open up the offense. It's just his decision-making and playmaking.
If they lose on Thursday, are they still in the NIT?
I think it's definitely more of a coin toss. I think if you get the win against Mississippi State, you have to feel good about your chances of getting in, even if you're not an at-large team. But I do think this team has played well enough to deserve a bid. But there's still so much to play out across all these conferences here that it's kind of hard to know for certainty if they're going to get in. But I would lean yes if they lose, but probably be a little bit less convinced about it.
Recruiting, football coverage, basketball coverage, baseball coverage, they got you covered over at Go 24/7. Glenn West with us each and every Tuesday, senior writer over there. Glenn, thanks for the time, man.
All right, Hunt. Thank you.
Always enjoy our discussions with Glenn West each and every Tuesday. Our Tuesday shows brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. Get on by tonight. Sports trivia at 8:30 Nicholson location. I'll be there hosting it, watching a little bit of baseball, preview LSU baseball and North Dakota State. Yeah, North Dakota State. Took a second there. North Dakota State coming up at the top of hour number 2. I've also got a few other things to get to in hour 2 as well. Matt McMahon's met with the media today. We'll talk a little bit about that trip up to Nashville to play Mississippi State. Sharif Ishak will be with us in hour number 2, talking Saints as well as Pels. I want to remind you that tomorrow we will be down in Laplace. Very much looking forward to it. The grand opening of the new Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. So we're going to check out the 4 brands on one lot down there in Laplace. Very much looking forward to it. Be doing my show there, and we'll have a presence for the station-wide there for a couple of more hours. So if you're in the Laplace area and want to come on by and see us, my show, 1 to 3, right there at Bayou CDJR in Laplace. Very much looking forward to going down there this tomorrow morning to hang out with the folks over at Bayou CDJR. When we come back, some basketball here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet now live in Louisiana as the official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet's the only place you can find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. You can sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. You can find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. You can download today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Baseball at the box. Shay Dixon recapping a busy recruiting weekend and the latest in NFL free agency. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tune in for the live play-by-play of the SEC men's basketball tournament, starting with the semifinals Saturday at noon. Hopefully the Tigers will be playing in that. And the championship game Sunday at noon right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The 14 head coaches in the SEC named their all Southeastern Conference basketball teams yesterday. And I found something interesting about this and wanted to share kind of my thoughts on it. The coach of the year was Lamont Paris. I think that Todd Golden did a great job at Florida. I think that Matt McMahon did a really good job at LSU. I think that obviously Rick Barnes did a great job at Tennessee. Paris is the choice for this award for sure. Their team was picked last in the league and ended up in a tie for second. They were fantastic really all year, and that's still a great win for LSU. Player of the year, Dalton Connect, I have no problem with that. He was a scoring machine for the Vols, was awesome. Freshman of the year, Reed Shepard, and sixth man of the year, Rob Dillingham. They had to kind of figure out a way to get both of those guys in because both guys are freshmen and both guys came off the bench and both guys were awesome. But I'm perfectly okay with both of those guys being named freshman of the year and sixth of the year. And then defensive player of the year, Zakai Ziegler at Tennessee. No issue with that as well. The first team for basketball, Mark Sears, awesome at Alabama. Awesome, yes, I'm in with that. Janai Broome on the post for Auburn. Yes, Zion Pullen for Florida. Great. Antonio Reeves for Kentucky. Needs some All-American mention. Yes, Tolu Smith was great for Mississippi State. Dalton Connect, of course. Zakai Ziegler, of course. Wade Taylor was fantastic. He was the only offensive force that Texas A&M had. I'm all good for that as well. Jalen Williams at Auburn, second team. Yeah, Walter Clayton in Florida was very good. Dillingham and Shepard at Kentucky on the second team. I'm good with it. Matthew Morrell, okay at Ole Miss. Josh Hubbard, LSU fans will get to know him here in a couple of days a little bit better. He was awesome in the PMAC this year. That's good. Talon Cooper at South Carolina. Michi Johnson at South Carolina. Jonas Adu at Tennessee. That's your second team. That's not really all that important, just rattling through names. But what is important is that LSU did not have a single player mentioned on any of these awards and did not have a player on the all-defensive team. That was Janai Broome, Cameron Matthews, Jonas Adu, Zakai Ziegler, Anderson Garcia. LSU did not have a member of the all-freshman team as well, although I thought Mike Williams might deserve a hat tip there. That tells me two things. One, that Matt McMahon did a very good job of getting through an 18-game conference season, having a couple of really nice wins in South Carolina and Kentucky, not really having a single bad loss. You could suggest maybe at Arkansas is not great, but it is on the road. They didn't really have a bad loss. They finished tied for seventh in the league, were 500 team in the league, and did not have anybody on any of these teams. Nobody recognized as player of the year. Nobody recognized on first team, second team, or defensive team. So I would suggest really nice job by Matt McMahon of taking that roster and getting it to that point. That is a quality coaching job. I will also submit that LSU should not have a team without somebody on this list moving forward. Because if you do, you are limiting how good your team can be. I have said a million times, I am holding nothing in year one against Matt McMahon. That was nearly impossible, and you all know that story by now, so we don't have to recount it. This year, I wanted to see them improve and get better. This team was basically put together before the NCAA made its ruling on what LSU could be and couldn't be. And now that that is gone, you will enter the late signing period and the monstrous transfer portal opening after the NCAA tournament with no restrictions on you whatsoever. And you'll be on a level playing field in the transfer portal with everybody. At this point, you need to have a foundation laid for your high school signing class. That's just the way it is. But nobody's got a relationship paved with folks that are in the transfer portal because nobody knows who's going in the transfer portal. But when that happens, LSU is on a level playing field with everybody else now for the first time in 3 years. You need to put together a roster moving into next year that puts guys on the all-freshman team and the all-defense team and the second team and the first team. That's the sport. This thing is won by roster management, not ball screen coverage. Yes, you do have to cover ball screens. Yes, you've got to X and O your way through Tuesdays and Saturdays all year long. But you have to put the roster together to make it happen. I believe Matt McMahon proved this year that in this league, with average talent, which they had, he can produce solid results. No stars, no NBA players, just a group of guys you put together, most of which have roots in South Louisiana. And they went 9-9. I don't want to watch that anymore, quite frankly. I want to watch guys that are going to play in the NBA, 4- and 5-star recruits, transfers that are huge impact guys, and LSU competing to be a double bye in the SEC tournament. You can do it at Auburn. You can do it at Alabama. You can do it at Texas A&M. We've seen it done at LSU. That's kind of where this thing wants to go. And I don't think Matt McMahon would balk at what I just said at all. I don't mean to disparage the current talent on LSU's roster. But I think I'm speaking in objective truth. They don't have anybody on the all-SEC teams. And I think I'm speaking in what is at least rooted in truth, that they don't have NBA guys on this team. Maybe somebody breaks through and makes it. Maybe Tyrell Ward or Jalen Reed blossoms into an NBA guy. But I have my doubts. That's the part that's got to change. LSU's roster is not a Sweet 16 roster. And you can build a Sweet 16 roster here. I'm not holding it against him for this year. That's just the expectation going forward. And I don't think anybody around here is under the guise that that's not the case. So it's two-sided when you see this team. Good job taking that team and getting some results. Now, don't let that happen again. Go out there on level footing and build a new roster, because you're going to have to build almost an entirely new roster. It's just the way the sport works. That's it for hour number 1 here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. Breggie's Creole Crush, brand new sauce and spice over there at Plucker's, courtesy of Alex Bregman, and it is very, very good. A little bit of heat to it, but not overpowering, and a lot of flavor. Get on by the Nicholson location or the Plucker's on Bluebonnet and try Breggie's Creole Crush. It is very, very tasty. Appreciate Glenn West for joining us in hour number 1 and hour number 2. We're going to hear from Sharif Ishak and Matt McMahon via sound. When we come back, I'll get you ready for LSU baseball tonight. South Dakota State in the box. See you for hour 2. Hunt Palmer Show.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Last season, the Ravens tried to trade for running back Derrick Henry. This offseason, they've signed him as a free agent. 2 years, $16 million deal, $9 million guaranteed in the first year. Henry, a 2-time NFL rushing champ, NFL Offensive Player of the Year, first-team All-Pro in 2020. Great fit in Baltimore, says First Take co-host Shannon Sharp.
You can put him behind Ricard. Woo! With that offensive line, take a lot of pressure. Now you play action pass. Lamar Jackson, you think guys are open. Man, they're going to really, really be wide open because he can still run the football at an elite level.
Linebacker Patrick Queen told ESPN's Marcus Spears he plans to sign a 3-year, $41 million contract with the Steelers. The Browns closing in on a deal to make Jameis Winston their backup to starting quarterback Deshaun Watson. The Bengals are trading quarterback Joe Mixon to the Texans instead of releasing him. Baseball, Yankees ace Garrett Cole underwent an MRI on his right elbow yesterday, having more testing done today. Manager Aaron Boone says it is difficult to imagine Cole starting opening day on March 28th.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Wednesday. I'll tell you if the Cowboys are actually Super Bowl contenders or setting themselves up for failure once again. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Pluckers Wing Bar, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet here in Baton Rouge. Looking for a place to watch LSU tonight? You can do it at both Pluckers locations. LSU and North Dakota State will be on the diamond out at Alex Box Stadium. 6 o'clock first pitch. If you can't get out to the box, Pluckers, next best option right there, either Bluebonnet or Nicholson locations. I'm not going to tell you a ton about the North Dakota State Bison. I don't believe Trey Lance or Carson Wentz will be out there for the Bison. They don't win a lot of games either. They went out and played UC Irvine to start the season and lost all 3 games of that series. They played Cal Poly in the midweek and lost, and they went to Pacific. They did win 2 out of 3 against Pacific. Then they went up to Oregon State, played 4 games against the Beavers, lost all 4. They were run-ruled twice in that weekend. Most recently, they were in Hammond to play Southeastern over the weekend. They did win the first game on Saturday, came back on Saturday night and got beat on Sunday in some high-scoring affairs. So the Bison entered this 2-game midweek set at the box at 3-11, and that's really all I'm going to tell you about said Bison because I don't think anyone really cares. It's all about LSU and getting ready to go to Starkville and start this 30-game grind that is Southeastern Conference play. There is only one statistic I am interested in this game tonight. Well, most interested in. I could probably look at a few others, but one that I am most interested in, and that is Cade Anderson's pitch count. That's it. Because if Cade Anderson goes out there and throws 93 pitches today, you understand where they see him right now as a midweek starter. If Cade Anderson throws 3 shutout innings and sits down after 48 pitches, you know why. They want to see him in Starkville. And I've thought about this a lot, having seen Cade Anderson now pitch in 3 different games. And in my opinion, he's too good to leave parked in the midweek for 6 innings at a time. Sure, I'd love to beat Nichols on a Tuesday. I would love to beat Southeastern on a Tuesday. I would love to beat Grambling and Northwestern State and Tulane and ULL and whoever shows up. And I hope that LSU goes undefeated the rest of the way in midweek. But I would rather have Cade Anderson ready to go for a potential extended outing on the weekend. I don't think it stunts his development as a starting pitcher in your program if he throws 3 innings on Sunday against Mississippi State as opposed to 6 1/3 against North Dakota State. Now, if they value him in the routine as a starting pitcher, to get ready that way for midweek games, to continue to throw 90-plus pitches, if that's something they value in case you want to replace Thatcher Hurd, well, I can see that, but that seems to me to be a lot of hypotheticals. What's not a hypothetical to me is, okay, who are the best pitchers to give us a chance to win in Starkville over 3 games? Anderson's one of them. So if that means you need more Samuel Dutton and more Christian Little and more Will Helmers on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, that may be what you need. I told you this a few times over the last month and a half. My perspective watching this LSU run through Omaha last year has changed a little bit on pitching management. And I don't think you need 4 developed starters. I used to wish for that for LSU baseball. I used to wish they would have 4 guys ready to start. So you didn't have to dip into to guys that were unproven in huge spots. I think we all remember, Alden Cartwright starting the decisive final game of a regional on a Monday. And Alden was a really good pitcher at LSU, had a good career at LSU. But it was a position that he had not really been in. And I was thinking to myself, man, if you had a 4th guy that you could go to ask to go 5 innings, that'd be great. I really don't want to be in the situation you were in 2 years ago with this LSU baseball program where Sam Dutton literally threw 1 pitch to start an SEC game, gave up a double, and was replaced because you didn't have anybody else. And I used to think, man, you really need a 4th starter. And then I watched him last year. And while it wasn't ideal, and while it's nice to have a 4th option where you don't have to ask Nate Ackenhausen to do something that he hasn't done all year and start 2 games, and you don't have to ask Javen Coleman to do something fresh off Tommy John surgery, what's more important to me than having a 4th starter is just having like 9 guys you trust. Because in actuality, all these tournaments, whether it's a regional or Omaha or the SEC tournament, they are just a collection of outs. There's no rule that says your starter has to go 6, your starter has to go 7. You can just have a couple different guys go 3 to take up the first segment. And Cade Anderson, to me, is one of those guys that I want to see available to give me 3 innings on a weekend. Inevitably, over 30 SEC games, one of your starters is not making it out of the 2nd inning in a game. It's just going to happen. Well, what if I have Cade Anderson right there before the damage gets too bad in the 2nd inning and they've put up a 4 spot? Well, get him in there now. And maybe he, more so than Gavin Guidry, more so than Griffin Herring or Nate Ackenhausen, is a little more prepared to go 5 innings if he's got his stuff. That's the option I want to have. I've been wishy-washy on pitching. I have. But I'm not going to plant my flag and then never move as I get more information and think about something a little bit longer. My thoughts on college pitching have shifted, and every team is different. And every team's got to approach things a little differently. 2 years ago, it was figure it out after Mikhail Hilliard. Maybe Ty Floyd will give you something and find a way to get it to Gervais and Raiselman. Like, that was the pitching plan. Not ideal, but that's kind of what it was. Last year, okay, Friday's taken care of. What's next? Okay, Floyd's kind of got that figured out. Okay, what's next? And then you figured out what Thatcher Hurd was, and you just built off having the rock on Friday you didn't have to worry about. And you figured it out after that. This year is completely different than both of those. And it's just a lot of high-level pitchers. But to me, even though it's been against lesser competition, Cade Anderson's stuff, makeup, and results so far have indicated to me he needs to be a big part of what goes on for LSU on the weekend in the games that are weighted the most by the metrics that we look at on Memorial Day. And I think it would be, waste is too big a term, but low leverage usage for him to trot out there every single Tuesday and go 5 2/3. I want him facing Tennessee. I want him facing Vanderbilt. I want him facing Arkansas. Even if that's not a starting role. And you could paint me a picture where Luke Holman ties down Friday and Gage Jump ties down Saturday, and you slide Cade Anderson in there as a starter, and you use Thatcher Hurd the way you did a lot last year. Big time outs late in games. You had a situation in the regional where Ty Floyd had to come out of the game because of weather, and you had a guy that was ready to come in out of the bullpen and help you there. Maybe that's Thatcher Hurd. And then, of course, we know what happened in the last game of the season when Floyd and Skeens weren't available. And maybe Hurd's that. Maybe Anderson's that. There are still options, and we're so early on this thing. I've just decided the one option I don't love is Cade Anderson throwing 6 innings every Tuesday against Nichols. So we'll see tonight when LSU and North Dakota State play what Jay Johnson's use of Cade Anderson, if any, is. I'm assuming he's going to start tonight. If he pitches on Wednesday, I think the odds lessen a little bit that you see him in a weekend series. But right now in my mind, I can really see 45 pitches on Tuesday to get LSU off to a good start and fully ready for whatever LSU needs him for on Sunday. On Friday and Saturday, you get through this thing with Holman and Jump and Ackenhausen and Herring and Guidry and Lohr and all these guys. And then on Sunday, you start things with Thatcher Hurd, and you still have a guy in Anderson who is very capable of eating up 10 outs if you need it, even if your bullpen's been taxed for 2 days. That's where my head is with this thing. I'm very curious to see where Jay Johnson and Nate Yeski's head is with this thing, and I think we'll learn something tonight in the game. I think LSU will take care of business against North Dakota State because everybody else is thus far. They need to hit a little bit better, and I'm assuming that they will. But I'm curious to see what Cade Anderson's role is tonight and how long we see him in the game if he is, in fact, the starting pitcher. All right, Sharif Ishak's with us in 15 minutes. Matt McMahon met with the media today in advance of LSU's trip up to Nashville for the SEC basketball tournament. We'll hear from him coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Platinum Window Tint. PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com is the website. Great new website. Check it out. PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. They give you the ability right there at the top of the website to request a quote and book an appointment. Why tint your windows? I think for a lot of my years, I thought that tinted windows were something that people thought looked really good on their cars. And that's the case. They can tint windows if you like the way that looks. But it's also very functional. It protects you from this ridiculous heat that we've got in South Louisiana for, 8 months out of the year? You can lower energy costs at your home or business with Platinum Window Tint. We've done it here at Guarantee. And you can protect your floors and your furniture from that sunlight that just beats down day after day after day. Have the team at Platinum Window Tint come out, give you a quote, help you save some money on your energy costs monthly. We know that hot weather is right around the corner. The website, again, is PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar.
On Tuesday's OTB, what does LSU baseball need to do in their final tune-up for SEC play? Plus, the latest from LSU Tiger Spring football and talking New Orleans Saints with Nick Underhill. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Discover the largest showcase of outdoor gear in Louisiana, featuring everything from fishing and hunting equipment to ATVs, boats, and more at the Louisiana Outdoor Expo this weekend, March 15th to the 17th at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Register for your chance to win tickets today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm going to be very honest with you, the listener. I'm a little bit bummed out about the next 2 days. Tomorrow, our show will start at 1. LSU baseball against North Dakota State. I keep doing it. We'll start at 1, so that's not awesome. And then Thursday, our show will start at 1, and LSU basketball will start at 1. So, a bit of a bummer for us the next 2 days.
Or do they play at 12 or 1?
I thought it was at 1.
Basketball? I don't know. I think it was at 12, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was Eastern time.
Let's check it. We can just check it right there on the it's Mississippi State, 12 p.m. Central. So I caught an Eastern time there. So the game should end about halfway through our show on Thursday. We'll be able to react to the other half. So that's okay. I feel better now, Beck. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Tomorrow's still not great, although I am excited to get down to LaPlace to Bayou Ford, but we'll be on during LSU baseball. But LSU basketball, now that I know, at noon coming up on Thursday, from Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, will take on Mississippi State. And Matt McMahon met with the media earlier today and chatted about a few things. The first was about his team's resilience after a little bit of a losing streak there, and how they were able to respond to that and finish 5-2 down the stretch.
Yeah, I think, Glenn, we talked about it after that heartbreaking loss at Florida. I guess that was February 13th. That dropped us to 4-7 in the league. We had lost 3 one-possession games in a row in league play. And great credit to our players. I think just kept coming to practice to get better, to improve, to find ways to win and figure it out. We were able to start getting it done in the last minute of those games. I think we had 3 straight one-point victories, finished the year 5-2 to get back to 500 in the league. So, I mean, I hope our players have great confidence going into the tournament. We also know we're playing a team that basically destroyed us in our own building 3 weeks ago. So we know we have to play a lot better if we want to win on Thursday.
And I'll comment on both of those. One, as you saw from Missouri very clearly on Saturday, college kids are pretty resilient, and they'll generally give you effort. I've seen some bad basketball teams at LSU give effort late in the season. LSU won an SEC tournament game last year, and you saw Missouri fight at 0-17, down 21 with 4 minutes to go, fight and get back in the game. And that generally speaking is going to be what happens. And certainly LSU did fight after falling to 4-7. More importantly than LSU fighting late, I thought it was just important that they made some plays to win games late. They made the play to beat Kentucky they had to make. That was huge. They made the plays to beat South Carolina. Winning those 1-point games, it's a coin flip. But you got to make the play. And I thought that it was really good that LSU found a way to do that after building up some scar tissue, having not done it in Athens, having not done it at Florida, having not done it against A&M at home. And so I thought that was more so than the effort and the resiliency, which I more so expect. I was just thrilled to see them find a way to win some of those close games. And then McMahon talked about a team that basically destroyed them in the PMAC, and that's the case. Mississippi State won that game by 20, and it was not close. I went with my dad a few weeks ago. They were in town to help us out around the house a little bit, and so we snuck out and were able to get to the game. And I was really excited because LSU was coming off that win over South Carolina, then the home win against Kentucky. It was a Saturday night. I was thinking it'd be a great crowd. It wasn't that great a crowd. And I was thinking LSU would play really well, and they just flat did not. Trey Hannibal turned the ball over 7 times in that game. He did score 22 points, but that's not what he's out there for. He's out there to facilitate things and run the offense. He turned it over 7 times. LSU was just 3 of 17 from the 3-point range in the game, missed 6 free throws in the game. It was just an ugly, ugly effort by LSU on both ends of the floor. And State was fantastic. They scored 87 points and held LSU to just 67. It was pretty much really good across the board for the Bulldogs. And Matt McMahon talked about slowing State down. Can't let them score 87 points.
Yeah, it's a great question. And nobody seems to have been able to find the answer there to slow him down. He's scoring the ball, as I mentioned earlier, as well as any guard in the country. Their team as a whole in their last 5 games is making 9 threes a game at 39%. So they've been very efficient there from behind the line. And then I think they're one of the best teams in the country in creating shots at the rim and finishing plays around the basket. That's why they're hard to guard. They shoot it well from 3. They got great physicality and inside presence at the rim. So it'll take a total team effort on our part. Got to do a much better job making his shots more contested. I thought he did a nice job in his movement without the basketball to create some separation, and he got some wide open looks at our place, and we can't allow that to happen again.
He's talking about Josh Hubbard, freshman guard from Mississippi State. Hubbard's got an interesting story. He's a Mississippi native who was committed and signed with Ole Miss, and then Kermit Davis got fired. So he opened his recruitment and ended up at Starkville in Mississippi State. And he's all freshman team in the SEC and has been great all year long. In the game in Baton Rouge, he was 9 of 17 from the floor. He was 6 of 12 from 3-point range and made all 8 of his free throws. In the end, he had at that point a career-high 32 points in the game against LSU and just totally took the game over for stretches. And it was really deflating being in the building and watching because he's undersized, smaller guy, but he's got unlimited range, and he was just shooting from deep, and he was getting uncontested shots and just kept making them, and the confidence was there. And then all of a sudden the State guys were looking to find him, and LSU did a bad job of identifying it. It was just boom, 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 boom. It was relentless. And Mississippi State under Chris Jans is always going to be a really good defensive team. And this team is pretty good on defense, but when they score it like that, I mean, if they score 87 points on Thursday, they will beat LSU. LSU is not going to score 90 points on Mississippi State. Ain't happening. you've got to hold this team closer to 70 than 87. And LSU was not able to do that in the game back last month, and the result was pretty obvious. So, look, I think we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow as we get into the game. But, look, Mississippi State is a team that is going to get in the NCAA tournament and is a veteran team, a physical team that's got that spark from Josh Hubbard. But the backbones are Tolu Smith and Cameron Matthews, who are all defensive guys. Shaquille Moore has been really good for him as well. But Hubbard is the guy that does the scoring. And we'll see if LSU can deal with him. One point about that game back in February is that Tyrell Ward went out of that game after 12 minutes with that injury and never came back. He does help LSU's offense with the floor spacing and whatnot. So hopefully his addition plus a little bit better defense from LSU on Josh Hubbard can help LSU win the game. They got their work cut out for them, though, against Mississippi State. If LSU can win the game, they're going to be in the NIT, and I think they're probably likely an NIT host at that point because Ole Miss is kind of in free fall. But there's still some dominoes to fall there, so we'll let them fall as they may coming up on Thursday. We'll preview this one from the Mississippi State side on tomorrow's show. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. We'll have sports trivia out at Plucker's tonight, 8:30 Nicholson location. We're watching the end of LSU and North Dakota State in baseball. You can win some gift cards, drink some cold beers, eat some awesome wings, including Breggie's Creole Crush, and have some fun. We'll get you out of there before 10 o'clock each and every Tuesday. Nicholson location, Plucker's Sports Trivia. Plucker's Wing Bar bringing you our Tuesday shows. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird. When we come back, Sharif Ishak from WDSU talking Saints. Does Chase Young make sense for the New Orleans Saints? That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Baseball at the box. Shea Dixon recapping a busy recruiting weekend and the latest in NFL free agency. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's take it on down to New Orleans. Sharif Ishak, WDSU, with us each and every Tuesday. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharif, how we doing?
We are a softball school, baseball school, basketball school, football school. We are unstoppable, Hunt. Unstoppable.
Yeah, things are pretty good in Baton Rouge these days. But I want to talk about New Orleans stuff with you. Is that all right?
If you want, I'm fine with it.
All right. Jameis Winston's time in New Orleans is done. He's going to sign a free agent contract with the Cleveland Browns. How would you sum up Jameis's run in New Orleans?
It was, well, interesting to say the least. They got him in 2020. Didn't really play behind Drew Brees. Got a couple snaps here and there. And then, the start in 2021 was great until he got injured. He won him, but led him to the 5-win start, and then that unfortunate knee injury against the Buccaneers, and then comes back the following year, that comeback win in Atlanta to start the season, then hurts his back in that game, and it's just he just was unlucky in his career with the Saints, I would think, and he was a fan favorite. City loves him, did a lot of great stuff in the community. It just didn't pan out. Didn't pan out like he wanted it to.
Why not bring him back?
I just think, like he said, he wanted to go be a starter, which is crazy. He's going to Cleveland to back up the guy the Saints chased whenever they were looking for a quarterback. And I just think that they were ready to move on. I think he was ready to move on, and they were ready to move on, plain and simple. I think whenever that Falcons thing happened, we all knew he wasn't coming back anyway, but that was pretty much the cherry on top. And I just think he wanted to go chase his dream to be a starter somewhere else. And with Deshaun Watson, you never know. He gets hurt a lot, so might have a chance.
Yeah, do you think Jameis will ever be a starter again?
I honestly, I don't, unless he gets the right situation, like he goes into a place that doesn't have a starting quarterback. And it looks like he's going to have to play the backup role and fill in for guys that are hurt. If it wasn't, this year was a chance. A lot of teams who didn't have starting quarterbacks, Patriots, Commanders, Falcons could have probably kicked the tires on them, but they decided Kirk Cousins and other teams are deciding on other quarterbacks. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. Right now I would say no. I think he's just going to be a backup until players get hurt.
Speaking of backup, the Saints now need one. I'm going to ask you two different questions here. One, does Sharif Ishak think Jay Kaner is ready to be a backup quarterback in the NFL? And two, do you think the Saints think he is ready to be a backup quarterback in the NFL?
No and no.
Okay.
He hasn't had any, as they would say, the time on task, and he was suspended for those, 6 games, couldn't be in the building really practicing with the team. I just don't think he's ready. No, they have to go find a veteran quarterback behind Derek Carr. You can't really go in there. And they might go in there and say, all right, we're good with Jay Kaner. I remember during the Senior Bowl, Jeff Ireland said he would have liked to see more of Jay Kaner last year. So maybe I'm wrong and they see something in him and they may think he's good enough to be the backup quarterback, but The way Derek Carr was going down last year, I don't know if they're ready for the Jay Kaner train right immediately if he goes down in these first few games of the regular season. So I would say that they can go, sniff the free agent market and see what backup quarterbacks are out there. Some thought it would be Sam Darnold, but that's, that option is off the table. Maybe Joe Flacco since Jameis went to Cleveland. I still think that they need to find a backup quarterback and still continue to give Jay Kaner some reps and get him ready to be a backup or even a quarterback down the line. So the short answer is yes. No is the answer.
So we were talking in the first hour about whether or not the Saints could potentially draft like Jordan Travis in the 5th or 6th round. Do you think that's an avenue the Saints could go, or does this need to be some 34-year-old that can come in and knows how to play the position and has done it for a decade?
Drafting another quarterback, is that the question you're asking me?
Basically, not in the first round, but like to compete with Haener.
Look, I don't know if this. Look, they got like 9 picks in this draft, and history tells you, Hunt, that they don't really use all those picks. They usually jumble them up and try to trade up. So I don't think so. I just don't think that's the smart move. This team needs bodies, but they need quality over quantity. So I don't know. I wouldn't bring in another quarterback via the draft. You've already tried it twice with Ian Book, and now you have Jay Kaner. This team needs too many other things. So I would not do it that way. In my opinion, I would do it and go find a free agent quarterback, kick the tires on someone to be the backup. I would not do it through the draft and just, try to develop Jay Kaner in a way since you used the pick on him last year.
There have been signings all over the National Football League, high profile, different positions, both sides of the ball. It's been a frenzy over the last 24 hours, and the Saints have not done very much. Does that surprise you?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're second, third tier shopping, man. They're bargain shopping. I mean, that's what they've done for years now. They're on the clearance rack right now, pretty much. So, I mean, they're going to have to address a lot of stuff in the draft with the picks they have.
Okay, let me stop you. Why are they clearance shopping?
They don't have – I mean, everyone says they don't have the money, but a lot of the players that people want them to sign are going elsewhere for much bigger salary. They could use defensive line help, but when you look at the prices of some of these defensive ends and defensive tackles and where they're going, it's like Saints aren't going to spend that money. They may do it on a Chase Young that you see he's going to visit the Saints, but you're kicking the tires on someone who's often injured. Yes, he was a high draft pick, but that's the type of guys that they're going to have to go after. They're going to have to bargain shop. I mean, they're not going to be able to go get a Danielle Hunter. He's going to get paid a lot of money, and that's just, plain and simple. And that's the way they've been shopping for years. They don't really necessarily – who was the last big free agent they signed before Derek Carr? It's been a while, right? Demario Davis, probably the first one that comes to mind. Emmanuel Sanders was a one-year signing.
Yeah,
so,
who was the safety that didn't work? Jairus Byrd was a pretty big signing, and that was a total bust.
Yeah, that was 14-year. I mean, Demario has been the best one so far. Outside of Drew Brees and Demario Davis, who have they really signed? I mean, no one. No one that's really been that, mainstay that's been here for a while. So they just continue doing what they do.
Do they need to do something different than what they do? And I use air quotes there?
Yes, absolutely. They need to find a way to, I think, either get away from like what they've drafted, like that type of player they've been drafting in terms of the big guys that not really that athletic. They're just big and they like the way they look the part on paper. They need to find someone, who works in today's game. We've got to find athletic guys, got to find quick guys, got to find guys who are available to play. To me, if you're drafting guys who are healthy scratches, that isn't working. That isn't going to work for this franchise. So they've got to do their due diligence and do better in terms of free agency, whatever they do in the second, third tier, and in their draft process, because it hasn't worked, It hasn't worked for a few years now.
Does Chase Young make sense for the Saints? We understand he's going to get a visit.
Honestly, I think no. I'd like for them to, at least if they're going to kick the tires on someone, kick it on someone who's available, younger. I mean, yeah, whenever he can put the sack numbers up, that's great. But he's going to the Titans and he's going to Carolina. He's probably going to go to where he gets the most money of these visits. I mean, would I be mad? A little bit. I mean, that's not the type of player they need on this team. They need somebody who's available and who can stay on the field and actually get to the quarterback and create some disruption back there, because the team certainly needs help along that defensive line.
How much differently do you feel about the South now that Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta?
Well, I mean, Kirk and Derek to me are the same quarterbacks. One is coming off a very bad injury, who was having a career year before he blew out his Achilles. The other is just couldn't stay upright. The offense didn't work last year. The offensive line struggled. A lot of struggles until the final 4 or 5 games. So it's 1A, 1B to me. Do they have the better weapons than the Saints? Younger, yeah, but are they going to use it the right way? The defensive-minded head coach? I don't know. But Kirk is a good quarterback. I like Kirk Cousins. I think he's, if he can recover from that Achilles injury, they're going to have a chance to win the NFC South.
Rank the NFC South quarterbacks best to worst.
Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Bryce Young.
It's a far cry from what we were saying after they signed Derek Carr. Going, all right, well, they got the best quarterback in the division, so all right, this looks good. And now all of a sudden, most people are looking up going, well, I think he's the third best quarterback in the division.
I mean, what do you rank him? Am I right there? Is he third?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that ranking. I think that's probably right, and I think that's a sobering fact for Saints.
Yeah, and you show me you can do it. Show me that you're better than the other two guys. I mean, it is what it is. The facts are the facts. Those guys have won. Those guys have beaten the Saints. One guy took it on a pretty easy, cheap contract with the Bucs, took them to the playoffs by winning the division. So that I mean that's what it is right now. I mean, that's the ranking I'll give it until something gets proved.
I don't disagree at all. Chatting with Sharif Ishak, WDSU down in New Orleans. Pell's vibes check.
Pell's vibe check. It's bumping hard right now.
Good.
It is bumping hard. 14 games above 500. But here we are again, Hunt. 4-game winning streak for the 5th time this season. They haven't been able to get over that 4-game winning streak hump, and it's not going to be easy because the Cavaliers are coming, Clippers are coming, Portland. All right, whatever it is, what it is. If he can just win the Cavaliers game tomorrow, that would be great. Just get over the 4-game winning streak hump. That's all anyone's looking for. But in all honesty, the vibes are great, man. The way they're playing, the way Zion is playing. I mean, the way his defense. I mean, everyone talks about his offensive game. The way he's playing defensively this season, it continues to get better each game. And I think that's the part that's really impressive. The combination of Zion and her playing great defense, as usual for her. But that 1-2 punch has been very good lately and really slowing down some of these other teams that they're going against.
And Trey Murphy's led the team in scoring in 3 of the last 6.
Shooter's got to shoot, man. He eventually wakes up. Last year he woke up in March. It was the best month of his career. And right now he's having, again, a great March. And this is what we talk about, peaking at the right time. You get your players, your star players peaking at the right time and winning these games as you head into March and April, and you don't have to worry about the play-in. You can now probably worry about maybe being the 4th seed and having home court advantage. And man, that's a great feeling for this franchise. I think healthy on the court in April, whenever the playoffs start, they can do some damage. They can be one of the scarier teams in the NBA.
We'll see. They'll play the Cavs coming up on Wednesday night in the Blender. Should be a really good crowd for that one as they chase that 5-game winning streak. Sharif, we appreciate some time. We'll talk next week. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Hopefully we'll have some signings to talk about.
I would think over the next 7 days we will, but we shall see. He is Sharif Ishak, sports anchor down there at WDSU in New Orleans. Always check in with him. Talk Saints and Pels on Tuesdays. Our Tuesday shows brought to you by Pluckers. We'll come back, play some Take It or Leave It, and that'll be it. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com. I gave you this phone number, not just going to get some answer machine. This is Mitchell Fisher's phone number. He's the owner of the company. 225-439-7920. 439-7920 in the 225 area code for your audio, whether it's your surround sound, you want some outdoor audio in your entertaining space, outdoor kitchen or pool area, you want some surround sound in your entertainment area, you want to run music throughout the entire house for hosting parties and get-togethers, they can handle that. Your video, whether it's mounting televisions, getting the smart TV all set up and ready to roll, they can do that as well. And security, most important thing, security of you and your family. They can handle it all for you at Audio Video Security Solutions. They're on Instagram, AVSS_BR, AVSS_BR. And the website, as I was telling you, for the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions, is AVSSLA.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
make him a day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
On Tuesday's OTB, what does LSU baseball need to do in their final tune-up for SEC play? Plus, the latest from LSU Tiger Spring football and talking New Orleans Saints with Nick Underhill. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Winding things down here on a Tuesday edition, brought to you by Pluckers Wing Bar. I'll be out at Pluckers tonight, 8:30 Sports Trivia. Hope to see you there in Nicholson location. Have you out of there by 10 o'clock. So come on by, watch some LSU baseball, play some sports trivia, win some gift cards. It is always a festive time there at Pluckers on Nicholson on Tuesday evenings. We were talking with Sharif Ishak there, and he's mentioning like how the Saints are approaching free agency. Just shopping second and third tier is so frustrating, I feel like. I know they spent $100 million on Derek Carr, and that is the opposite of bargain basement shopping. So clearly it's something they can do, but it's just tough to do things the way they do it, the way they structure salary cap things. It made so much sense in the Breeze era to try to defer whatever you could down the road and pay the piper when you have to, but just to try to accumulate as much talent as you possibly can around Drew Brees. And the problem is with the front office that time came and went, and they just kept on doing it. And now you're not adding big-name free agents. You're second and third tier shopping. You don't have your full complement of draft picks, and you've got holes all over the roster. It's just frustrating to think about when they just refuse to press a pause button or a reset button. It's just more. It's not working. Saints are not very good right now. That's just kind of the reality of the situation. All right, Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Steve Stricker said in an interview that last week that he is going to ask Tiger Woods to play with him at the Zurich Classic this spring. Tiger on the West Bank. Take it or leave it.
I'll probably leave it. Tiger's only got, to use a poor metaphor, so many bullets left in the chamber, and he's going to deploy those at the majors. He's just not gonna spend 5 days walking the course at the Zurich. It's actually a great tournament for him to play.
Yeah, it's pretty
because
flat.
It's so flat, and he only has to hit half the shots 2 days. But I just don't see.
He said he's going
him
to play once a month, Hunt.
Well,
Zurich will be. Or they moved it. It's not in the same. Did they change?
I think it's 3 weeks. It's 2 weeks after the Masters.
Okay,
so
well, he's
it
not,
will be.
yeah.
It will be in April.
He
so
probably won't.
Not gonna happen. I would love it, and I'd be there. I'll be there anyway. But it's a heck of a thought by Steve Stricker, and Stricker said it was just because he just thinks that the more that Tiger can do, the better it is for the game of the golf, and he thinks it'd be great for the people in New Orleans and the tournament and the tour from a television perspective to have Tiger as a part of it. But that's just not gonna happen.
Beth Torina's Tigers knocked off Texas today, who's number 3 in the country today. Or sorry, I don't know how to say again. To remain the only unbeaten team in college softball, LSU deserves the number 1 ranking. Take it or leave it.
You know, it certainly wouldn't offend me if they were ranked number 1 for being undefeated. But I think oftentimes we are too reactionary to a win or a loss here in polls. And like I feel, and look, this benefits LSU on this side, but like LSU's ranked ahead of Texas A&M in baseball, and A&M's undefeated, and LSU has lost 2 games. And I think it's perfectly okay if you're a pollster and you think that LSU's better than Texas A&M, even though their record's not better. And I think it's probably okay, even though I can't name you one player on Oklahoma's softball team. They're probably really good because they hadn't lost in like 2 years, and yeah, UL Lafayette beat them. But they're still probably the best team in the country, so I have no problem with them being ranked first. But they want to put Beth's Club up there. I'm not going to complain about it because they've obviously played awesome. They played a ridiculously difficult non-conference schedule and got through that. They played a conference opener on the road, swept that, and then they welcomed in a top 5 team in the country in the midweek and won that game. They're clearly very, very good.
The Falcons added former Bears standout Darnell Mooney, and with Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Darnell Mooney, the Falcons will be a top 5 offense. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. I think they're the favorite in the South as we sit here today with no free agency completed and no draft completed, which doesn't count for a whole lot. But right now it just feels like that's the best of the worst, which I think this is probably the worst division. It's a good offense on paper, but that obviously doesn't always translate to the field. I remember the Eagles put that super team together a few years ago, and they were not any good. So you never know, but it feels like they're doing a lot of good things in Atlanta, and we'll see what the result is come football season.
All right, last one here on LSU Baseball's Dirt podcast. Pitcher and Maryland native Cam Johnson said Maryland seafood is better than Louisiana seafood. Take it or leave it.
You know, I can't speak to that because I've never had Maryland seafood. I love crab cakes. Would love to have some. I think they're big. They do like a lot of boils up there.
Yeah,
a lot of Old Bay, like an Old Bay. Like Old Bay is your only trick. Like I'm going to take the Louisiana side of things, and I'm going to take the Louisiana side of anything as I sit here anyway because that's where I'm from and that's where I am, and I love the seafood down here. But I can't truly evaluate it if I've never had Maryland seafood. I don't even know if I've ever been to Maryland. I've done D.C. and may have gone through Maryland, but I did Virginia because we went to Arlington. So I don't know if I've ever been to Maryland, but I would like to go because I'd like to go to Camden Yards. But no, Cam Johnson. I think Louisiana seafood is better than Maryland seafood. Although I love crab cakes. But I mean, you're talking about etouffee, gumbo, jambalaya. We know the drill down here. But I will say this also. I appreciate Cam Johnson for standing up for his hometown.
Yeah.
Come on, that's great. Now let's throw some strikes and get some outs. Now that we've got seafood on the back burner, so to speak. So that'll do it for this edition of Take It or Leave It. Again, to kind of set up the rest of our week here on the Hunt Palmer Show, a little bit of a different week. Tomorrow, we'll be down in Laplace at Bayou CDJR, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, having the grand opening down there at Laplace. So we'll be there doing our entire show from 1 to 3. If you're in the area, we would love it if you came on out and saw us tomorrow. Very much looking forward to being down there. tomorrow, LSU and North Dakota State will play at 1 o'clock, so we'll be on at the same time as that game. Coming up on Thursday, we'll be back in studio. LSU basketball is at noon. We're still going to start up as scheduled at 1 o'clock, and then that'll probably go final right towards the middle of the show, and we'll kind of talk about it in the post game. We'll probably do a lot of baseball and some spring football, certainly, in the first part of the show on Thursday. So LSU will be playing during our ongoings the next couple of days, and then we'll have probably a more traditional show on Friday, depending on how LSU does in the SEC basketball tournament and what the future holds for them coming up on Friday. But very much looking forward to the rest of the week. If you missed today's show, we started up talking about the LSU offensive line from 2019, inking $100 million worth of deals yesterday. Shout out to them. I think they're probably an unsung group when we talk about that team, but they've had a nice go of it in the NFL. Did a little bit of a Saints mock draft at 1:15. Glenn West joined us at 1:30 from Go 24/7 to talk all things LSU. In the second hour, talk some baseball, specifically Cade Anderson. There we go. Just not Cam. Talked a little about him and the role that we'll see him in tonight. Looking forward to that. Matt McMahon sound at 2:15, and then Sharif Ishak talking Saints and Pels. All that is on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can find us. Also, Hunt on Saints on YouTube and Hunt on LSU on YouTube. That's it for us. Matt's going to drive you home. See you tomorrow from Laplace, the Hunt Palmer Show.